Hi everyone, it's Rudy Tinoco from the Magician's Forum, and I'm here with this next installment of a video series that I'm calling Old is New Again, where I sift through some of my old books to mine for the gold and the hidden gems that are in them. I've found a number of them that I would like to share with you. Today I'm going to be sharing with you something called the Master Card Location, and it's found in Greater Magic on page 97. Now, if you saw the demonstration video that I did with my wife, I'm hoping that it fooled you, because I believe this to be a really brilliant way to discover a freely selected card that has been shuffled in the deck not just once, but twice. How do we do that? Well, it's really simple. You're just using two key cards that are located on the top and on the bottom of the deck. Now, how do you determine that? Well, you can do it a few ways. I just had placed a known card on the top and on the bottom, and then shuffled them, retaining them on the top, and then giving them to my wife to shuffle. So you can do it that way. They suggest in the book that you could also note the bottom card while the spectator is shuffling the deck. That's smart. But again, this method requires that you know the top and bottom card. And so there is a suggestion, after maybe having peeked the bottom card that the spectator, after they had shuffled the pack, how do you maybe note that top card in a secret way? Well, they teach you that. So I'm going to lower this camera down so you can see how we do that. So how do you set up those two key cards? Well, in the book, he says, again, after having the deck shuffled, you can note the bottom card of the pack. In this case, it's the 7 of spades. But how do you know what the top card is? Well, you could do a bubble peek. There's other methods on how to do that. This is what he says in the book. You're essentially going to place the key card there as you describe to the spectator what they're going to do in a moment in selecting a card. So remember, we have a known card at the bottom. And now you're going to say, in a moment, I want you to draw out a card. I want you to remember it, and then place it here on the top of the pack. Now look, I know here it's the 10 of hearts, so I place that there. You can then tell them to gather up the pack, and now you're going to shuffle these and retain the cards on the bottom and on the top of the pack. So you can see here, you got the 10 of hearts and the 7 of spades. Now you're going to have them select a card, and this is exactly what you demonstrated here just a moment ago. So have them take any card out to remember it. Now they're going to place this card on top. Now I'll put it face up so you can see what's happening here. And then you have them gather the pack, and then to cut the deck, which places that card, the selection, between the key card that's here at the bottom of the pack and then above the one that you have here. Okay? And then you would have them shuffle the deck 2 times. Now, in the book, I believe he says you can do this 3 times, but I believe that if you do that, you run the risk of putting more cards in the middle of those 2 key cards than you would be comfortable with. So now you run through and you're going to see your key cards here. Fine, you'll see the selection is here. It's face down, but there is the 10 of hearts, and over here is your 7 of spades. So you have those cards between your keys. So essentially what you're going to do is fish for it. Now, in this case, you're going to say, your card was black, right? No. Then now you know it's the 5 of diamonds, the only red card. I'm not going to teach you how to fish for a card because, quite frankly, I'm not really that good at it. But this is a simple way of finding a freely selected card in a deck that's been shuffled twice by a spectator. Now, there is a chance that after the spectator has shuffled the cards, that a large number of cards are between the keys. I've tried this a lot on myself, shuffling well, shuffling poorly. At one point, I had up to, I think, 17 cards between those 2 key cards. So what do you do in that case? Well, you might just have to say, sorry, I'll show you another trick. But I have an out that I would highly recommend, which is based on Out of Sight, Out of Mind by Di Vernon. There's also another version by R. Paul Wilson, and there's another version called Intercept by Harvey Berg. Now, some people give Harvey Berg a bad time, saying that he's simply recreated what Di Vernon had already put in print years ago. I'm not here to argue the case. I simply took what I felt were really good parts of R. Paul Wilson's version as well as Harvey Berg's, and I put them together. And I want to show that to you because I think this is a powerful out. Because say you have, 7 or 8 cards, 9 cards that are between those keys. Well, I'm going to show you a little shuffling sequence where you can now take those 9 cards and place them in certain parts of the pack that'll allow you to determine what their card was. So let me move the camera back down here and show you how I do that. So what happens if you spread the deck and you look for your key cards? In this case, let's say I'm using the jokers. You look and you see there's a sizable group of cards. In this case, we have 3, 6, 9 cards. Well, you could fish, I suppose. I wouldn't, because as I said, I'm not really good at that. But here's what you can do. Let's cut one of those key cards to the top of the pack, okay? So you have essentially the key card as well as those selections here on top of the pack. Now you're going to distribute those cards 3 to the top, 3 to the middle, 3 to the bottom. All right, now here's how you're going to do that. You're going to undercut about half the pack, and then you're going to in-jog a card, in-jog, okay, and then shuffle off. Now you're going to pick up at the break, and then you're going to run, after having shuffled off to the break, run 3 cards to the center. Now these are going to be 3 possible selections. 1, 2, 3. Now remember that you have a key card, your joker. So there's your key card and 2 possible selections. Now place the pack on top. And now you're going to milk off this bottom card as a cover card, because you're going to now run the bottom card. And then this top card is one of the potential selections. So run that 1, 2, 3, and then put the rest of the cards on top. So what you have here is a cover card, 3 possible cards. You have in the center here, there's your joker, and then 2 potential selections, the queen of hearts and the 5 hearts. And then over here, you've got what really amount to those other selections here at the top of the pack, because you can see your key card. All right, well now it's simply a matter of spreading through the deck, and my pattern is I tell the spectator to, in a moment, I'm going to show them the cards, and as they're looking at the cards, to simply, when they see their card, to think stop in their mind. Don't say anything, but as I run through the pack, I want you to simply think stop. And by looking at your eyes, I'll be able to determine what it is. So you push over a block so as to hide that cover card in those 3 possible selections. And then now you're going to look for your key card. Now there's the joker, the 5 of hearts, queen of hearts. So I keep showing them. And I'm getting near the end of the cards, and I'll look at them and I'll say, wait, you saw your card, right? If they say they did, well then now I'm only fishing between the queen of hearts and the 5 of hearts. But say they tell you, Mom, no, I didn't see it. Okay, let me get these actually this way so you can see better. I reposition a little bit, and then I show them the faces of the cards, and now there's a few more possible selections there. I say, did you see your card now? They say no. Or if they say yes, well now you're fishing again between those 4 cards. Or they say, I haven't seen it yet. Well now you know that it's one of these 3 cards at the bottom. Again, there's some fishing involved, but it takes what was 9 cards that are difficult to fish from down to 3 cards, maybe 4. So that's an out that I would use if I ran into that situation where more cards were between those 2 keys than I was comfortable with. Dang, that's a good shot. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to look. I'm going to show you the place of the card. And you're supposed to, as one's passing your eyes, you're not looking for one that you like or particular. Just as one's passing your eyes, I just want you to look at one as it's passing your eyes and lock your mind on it. Don't say, yes, I got one. Okay, got it. Here we go.
I don't feel like that way in here.
Got one?
Yeah, it's good. And it's
Don't forget your cards. Now, we're going to take a thought. You're just thinking one. Now I want you to see it. So I want you to visualize it like here on the table. So you saw it. Now I want you to visualize it here. So
Okay.
now, here's the second part. Now remember, you're only thinking of a card. Okay? I'm going to show you the whole deck. And when you see your card, I want you to think in your mind, stop. But don't say it out loud. Just think it, all right? So I'm going to show you the whole packet. Try not to show it on your face. Just keep looking. I'm going to try. Look at your face and hope that I'll find some indication that you see the card.
No, I told him. I said, so don't forget.
So you saw your card, right?
No.
Hold on, let me go a little bit slow. Sorry. I just thought you looked like you were
And then so then he felt really bad.
mouthing stop. But, okay. So that's the whole pack. You see your card?
No, I just wanted
So now what
to
I'm
know
going to
that,
do
you know,
is, I
sorry,
want you,
can't do that, so.
well, I showed you the whole pack, so it could have been any one of those.
Right.
But I want you to, was your card, is the only, not a joker, right? Tell me just, I need to, and would you say, is this a picture card?
But I
Do you know
told her,
what
I
picture
said,
card
I
it
told
is?
just
Like a face card?
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
face card?
do whatever
Okay.
you want. She said,
And this is all like a.
I
We
think
don't get to make those on.
right, yeah.
your card is the
No,
one on
I
the
was
top.
shocked
Was your
when
card
she
the,
said too, But I need to tell her.
that, you
yes,
said
that
face
too.
card, not the 10 of diamonds, right?
Yeah.
What was your card?
Christine, Jessica,
Jack of
you
Hearts.
all need to know that as well, because.
What if I told you
You'll be
that's the
signing
Jack of
it
Hearts?
with your new employee.
I mean, you just
Right.
saw one,
Which should be.
and then you visualized it. Look, turn that on. Isn't that weird?
So weird.
You just thought of a card. So, okay, this was quite a bit longer than I had intended it to be, but I wanted to make sure you understand all the different things that can happen and to provide you with an out that I think is incredibly strong. Now, some might say that at the end of this, I had an interesting conversation with Paul Hallis about this, where maybe at the end, not having the right card on the table and then changing it is not as direct as that actually being their selection. I think that's total personal preference. I happen to think it's powerful because I've done it and I've seen that, first of all, you're able to discern what their card was, but it's having changed an indifferent card, the wrong card, into their selection. It plays really well. So I think you should try it both ways and see which you prefer the best. So anyhow, this is called the MasterCard location. I think it's brilliant. I hope that you will use it. All right, until next time, see ya.